What if I told you one of the most revolutionary healthcare startups in history wasn't just lying, but managing to fool some of the world's smartest people? Imagine promising to change the entire medical industry, then burning $9 billion to the ground. Welcome to the insane rise and catastrophic fall of Theranos. It was 2003 when a 19-year-old Elizabeth Holmes dropped out of Stanford and founded Theranos, a company that promised to revolutionize the medical industry. Her vision was as bold as it was impossible, to create a device that could test hundreds of health parameters from just a single drop of blood. It was the kind of breakthrough that could change how doctors diagnosed everything, from cancer to diabetes, in seconds. By 2014, Theranos was the golden child of Silicon Valley. It was $1 billion startup with investors lining up, eager to back the next big thing in health technology. Holmes, with her signature black turtlenecks and deep, commanding voice, became a media sensation. But as the world looked on in awe, something dark was brewing behind the scenes. Investors trusted her, doctors trusted her, the FDA trusted her. Yet, by 2015, one of the most praised startups in history was about to crumble under the weight of its own lies. But who could have known? Could anyone have seen this coming? In the early 2010s, Theranos was on top of the world. The company had partnerships with major drug retailers like Walgreens, and they promised to transform healthcare with their Edison machine, a device that could allegedly run comprehensive tests on a tiny blood sample. The media loved it, investors were enchanted, and even the US military was reportedly interested in using it for battlefield diagnostics. Holmes, as charismatic as she was hailed as the next Steve Jobs, a visionary whose technology would save lives and disrupt an industry long overdue for change. She even appeared on the covers of Fortune and Forbes, her company valued at $9 billion. On the surface, everything seemed perfect. A brilliant inventor, a groundbreaking product, and a company that seemed poised to change the world. The world was watching, and they were all betting that this 30-something woman could deliver on her promise. But there was a problem. Something that no one wanted to acknowledge, or at least not until it was too late. You see, the Edison machine didn't actually work. Hold on, how could an entire industry, from doctors to billion-dollar investors, be so wrong? How did they miss the signs? You might be thinking, surely someone would have figured this out by now. But the truth is far more disturbing. The problem with Theranos wasn't just a technological failure, it was a carefully crafted web of lies. Behind the scenes, the so-called Edison machines were nothing more than a facade. The tests they promised couldn't even deliver consistent results. But Elizabeth Holmes wasn't about to admit failure. Instead, she pushed forward, using smoke and mirrors to maintain the illusion of success. Theranos didn't conduct proper clinical trials. Instead, they used commercially available equipment to process their tests, disguising them as their own technology. When the results didn't match, the company manipulated data, sometimes even faking results in front of investors and potential clients. Holmes and her top executives didn't hesitate to apply pressure, making employees sign non-disclosure agreements to keep quiet. Those who dared question the results were silenced or fired. But what was even chilling? The FDA, the agency that's supposed to protect public health, was kept in the dark for years. The company actively misled regulators, claiming that their tests were approved when in fact they were not. The dirty secret here wasn't just about flawed technology. It was about a corrupt culture, driven by greed and hubris. A company that lied to everyone, from the doctors using the product to the investors throwing money at them. The blood tests weren't just inaccurate, they were dangerously wrong. And worse still, they knew. So if everything was falling apart behind closed doors, why did no one blow the whistle sooner? Well, what happens when you have the power to manipulate the truth and you're backed by billions of dollars? You create a world where everyone's too afraid to ask the hard questions. As the truth came crashing down, the consequences were swift and brutal. In 2015, the Wall Street Journal exposed Theranos as what it was, a massive fraud. By that time, they had already raised hundreds of millions, and the public trust was shattered. Patients who had relied on inaccurate tests were left vulnerable. Doctors who believed in the promise of revolutionary healthcare were humiliated. The tech world, which had once hailed Theranos as a new frontier, was now watching it burn. But the real consequence? A culture where ambition blinds you to the truth. Silicon Valley, in its rush to innovate, had ignored the warning signs, prioritizing speed and profits over ethics. The result wasn't just the collapse of a company, it was the erosion of trust in a system that should have been transparent. The turning point came in 2016 when Elizabeth Holmes testified before Congress. The once confident CEO who had built a $9 billion empire was now facing the harsh reality of her lies. Under intense pressure, she could no longer hide the truth. Theranos, once hailed as a groundbreaking innovation, was revealed to be a complete fraud. The company that promised to revolutionize healthcare was now a cautionary tale of ambition gone wrong. Holmes' empire crumbled in an instant, and with it, the belief that anything could be achieved without accountability. But here's the thing. Theranos wasn't just a failed startup. It's a reminder of a much larger problem that could happen again, with or without us knowing. What's the real cost of blind ambition? What are the consequences when innovation goes unchecked? The damage from Theranos went beyond financial losses. It shattered trust in Silicon Valley, in innovation, and in the healthcare system itself. People began questioning whether the next big tech breakthrough was another illusion waiting to be exposed. For patients who relied on Theranos' faulty tests, the consequences were personal. False diagnoses led to incorrect treatments, leaving people in the dark about their health. The company's lies didn't just harm investors, they hurt real people. But the most lasting impact was the erosion of faith in medical innovation. When one groundbreaking promise crumbles, how many others are built on shaky foundations? The failure of Theranos left a lesson. Unchecked ambition can be far more dangerous than we realize. Theranos was more than just a failed startup. It was a warning, a reminder that in the rush to innovate, we must never lose sight of the truth. Elizabeth Holmes built an empire based on a lie, and the consequences were devastating. The real lesson here isn't just about what happened to Theranos, it's about what could happen next. In a world where ambition often outpaces caution, where promises of revolution can easily drown out the facts, we need to be vigilant. Blind trust in the next big idea could cost us more than just money. It could cost lives. So, next time someone promises the world, remember, the truth is often harder to find than the hype. And sometimes, the most groundbreaking ideas are the ones that never existed at all. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe for more cool stuff they don't teach you at school.